Guys, how you doing? Just wanted to make this quick video as a coaching meeting because I didn't really want to call you guys in. First of all, because I'm super busy and stressed, and it's like coaching 6 hours a day. But I did want to cover some things that I didn't feel like can be covered through a text message or a million words typing that you won't read. So, not that you wouldn't read my email, but just I don't know. Don't want to spend time doing that. So I thought I would just record this. Screencast here and just talk about some things in regard to planning for water polo and season. I'm going to share this link with you if you haven't opened it already. So just getting going here, I know that like a lot of my planning has been kind of like fly by the seat of my pants, and I don't like that. But I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Just going from one practice to the other practice to the other practice, and I'm doing virtual teaching all day and planning my classes and having meetings virtually, to then I have to like literally know like what I'm training for this week. And so I don't really like that. So I decided that this weekend I would really get on my seasonal planning. And part of the reason we've been flying by the seat of our pants is because we're just kind of like filling in the gaps because of COVID. And we're like, what am I going to do today? How many people are going to be at practice? What's our limitations going to be as far as numbers and spacing? So there's a lot of things that have just been up in the air, and I just don't want to be so reactive. I would rather be more proactive, and so we're going to make a plan, or I'm going to make a plan. And this is something where I'm not going to tell you like, hey, I need to see your plan, show me your plan, whatever. But like, I know that I see. I've had this discussion with Brett, and Brett knows all about seasonal planning, and we've had that discussion. Like, hey, if you just follow a plan, like it actually brings you towards championships. Like you're going to be in the top, couple teams, if you just follow a plan. And so, talking about ODP planning and like how, just small clubs follow the planning and they end up in championships over and over again because they're actually following a plan. I've also seen Ashton out on deck with her journal, and I see that you have a plan. And so I'm not sure what your plan is exactly, but I know that you're doing something. So, however you choose to break up your minutes, and even if it's an overall strategy, you're like for me as a coach, like I know I'm going to walk in and start coaching, and I'm going to make sure, like if I have a 90-minute practice, I'm like, those kids need to have their hands on the ball for at least 45 to 50 minutes of that practice. No matter what I get to in that first 35 to 40 minutes, I'm like, if I come in with any sort of idea of something I want to teach them, I have to be done and start getting balls out, and I have to get to shooting, and I have to make sure that, like, say, most of the time I'm, obviously if we had scrimmaging, it'd be different. It'd be like, I want to make sure we're getting the X number of minutes or X percentage of time in scrimmaging. And so I kind of would shoot from the hip by relying on a template. But I've done a lot of seasonal planning in the past, like with different squads, and obviously, like I've done a lot of research as far as like strength and conditioning is concerned for my masters in regard to water polo. So I did want to share some of the things that I've learned in that process with you, and what you want to pick up is up to you. So again, this is going to be called like a seasonal plan essentially, or work on seasonal planning. Recently I actually saw a Twitter post by Dan Klatt, or by USA Water Polo, and it was showing Dan Klatt, and he was discussing his seasonal plan. So you might want to research that. I did not see it. I did not see what he had to say, but I saw that it was something that is definitely encouraged. And recently I went into the ODP section of our coaching area. So like through our coaching area of USA Water Polo, there's resources, and through those resources we could find a lot of links. And so I should probably show those to you if you don't know where they are already, in this post or another one. But before I get too off task, I'm not done with this. This is a work in progress. It's something I'm going to share with you, and then you guys can add tabs onto this if you want to, which we could use collaboratively, or you can make your own if you like pen and paper. So that being said, I tried to narrow this down to show only what I needed to show here, from the post-COVID master competition schedule. And so we're up here in September. Okay, and so you can see the red indicates when we started. My annotations. does it not have annotations? I haven't started this recording, so it probably doesn't want to give me... That's weird. I have no annotation tools here. Or I'm going to see them later and be like, why didn't I see those? Alright, whatever. You're going to follow my mouse. Alright, so Wednesday, this is when we started. Today is September 12th, so we're here. Okay, so this is where we currently are. And so we are in, just started week 1. Okay, and then obviously we don't know if Junior Olympics is going to happen, but if it does happen, then I just want to be ready for it. I would imagine there'll be some kind of qualifier. And when they decide it's going to happen, it's going to be like, oh, there's a qualifier in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks. Get ready, and there's going to be like an all of a sudden qualifier if that's going to happen, if this Thanksgiving thing is going to happen. So here you see Junior Olympics session 1 on 11/21. Okay, so that would be the end of fall session. Yeah. So that'd be end of fall session. So you guys can look at that for your planning. This next page represents basically what I want to focus on for the week, for any given week that we're in, and kind of give breakdowns of percentages. And I wanted to explain some of those things that are on here. My color coding here at the top, first of all, it gives me the weeks, which I should probably change this. This is not going to be week 12. This is going to be week 1. That's going to be week 1 again. Oh. Alright, so that's going to be week 1 again. This is going to be off. Actually, you know what? That's just going to be a week off, because that's going to be like Thanksgiving week. Or whatever, I'm just going to leave it there for right now. Alright, so JOs is going to fall into this week right here after the 18th, so it'll be that following weekend in between week 11 and week 12. For the olders who are not going to JOs, to continue training, the first 2 days of that week 12, you're going to train in that one. So you'll be in there somewhere in the water. So here I have undulating schedule. So in other words, it kind of tiers up, and red is being a hard week, black is a super hard week. So I want to go up, easy, a little bit harder, my hardest week in a 3-week series, back to like an easy week again. And so this is kind of like what I've planned for all my conditioning and training, and pretty much like all my training with both triathlon, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, water polo, swim planning, swim training. This is what I do. It's called an undulating schedule. And so instead of just going like in the old school days, it would just be like a pyramid straight up, and it just gets harder and harder and harder, and then you taper. And so this kind of gives people hope at the end of the tunnel, and then those recovery weeks are really great, and the kids look forward to them. So if you tell them like, hey, this is a green week, next week's a yellow week. Sometimes with the way the weeks work out, I'll be like, it'll go like yellow, red again, and they get like bummed on it that there's no green. But just like the concept that it's going green ever, they get fired up about it, and they know that there's going to be an increased amount of techniques, tactics, scrimmaging, shooting. In those green weeks, I'm going to increase the amount of things that are like not as hard, that are more technical or tactical in nature. And then the red weeks, obviously, I'm going to try to put more conditioning, and that's in preparation within like say 14 days, 7 to 14 days before a big competition. So those are going to be higher volume and more intensity, and then that's going to basically prepare them so that I can like ease off of that, and then they're going to be ready to go when that competition comes. So it's going to go up. I used minutes and percentages, but going down the line here, phases. So first 3 weeks, general preparation. Second 3 weeks, tactical preparation. Weeks 7 to 9 are going to be competition weeks. Like obviously we don't know what competitions are. We could have competitions in our tactical preparation as well. So it's not like right now I know the answers to those, but like in an ideal world, if we're getting ready for JOs, that competition segment, I would want to have like a lot of games through that time frame so that we're working on tactics. And yeah, so, and then championship taper, 14-day taper max. So like really like it should like scale up to 14 days before, like the day before your big competition or the day of your competition. So that's kind of like the mode that I use. But I mean, really, like in your taper, it's not like you're dropping down to 0% or zero, like the amount of time doesn't go down to like zero, but it should be something that, like, if I'm doing for high school kids, if I'm trying to hit 4,500 yards 15 days before their big competition, that next week should go down to like 3,000 yards, or like 75%, something like that. Like, I want to hit like 75% and get down to like 50 to 70%, but it's not gone. So I don't want the kids to feel like there's nothing, I'm not doing anything. Like, I want them to be like, I shoot the ball full speed, I lift weights heavy, I swim full speed, I jump as high as I can. Whatever it is that you're doing, maximal efforts that are shorter in quantity. So if they're going to be, swimming 100 freestyle in a competition, I wouldn't want them swimming 200s all out. I'd want them swimming 75s all out. Maybe like a few hundreds in there all out, but like not very many. I want them to feel what it feels like to go full speed and to stay at that speed and to stay primed at that speed. Repeats at 85 yards. Just repeats at that. Anyway, so the concept of just taper is a longer conversation, but we're talking about 12 U's here. I mean, it's like totally different, but like I think that this is an important planning that we do for all of our squads. So competition schedule: in this general tactical competition and championship taper phase, I'm going to write in all my competitions. So I'm going to end up plugging in my competitions. Like if I had a competition on a Monday, which we won't for club, but let's say I had a scrimmage on a Wednesday against another club, I would write that in here in this box. Or if I had it on the weekend, I'm going to add boxes for like Friday. Okay. Sorry. So I'd add a box for Friday and then put in like going to a tournament like SoCal. I don't know, maybe I had a SoCal tournament or whatever. I'd write it in there. Training benchmarks, these are important for me. Like just in all of my coaching, I've done a lot of assessments. Even like my master's was basically on doing assessments, and it was a giant project, which I'll never do that again. But during this COVID time, we haven't been doing assessments, which I'm kind of like, oh, we could have been recording data, and data like it motivates kids, and we could show performance gains. I have charts that I could get into and start showing you, but I'm going to avoid those because this has already gone long right now. But my point is that training benchmark. So if we want to plug in a training benchmark on our training schedule, then I could write in week 1, we're going to do like, we're going to put a 10 twos. Okay. We're going to do 10 200 benchmark that week. And then I'm going to do it again on this week right here, 10 200s. Okay. So I'm going to go a month, and then I'm going to do that one again, and I'm going to repeat it on a green week, because they did this red week and they're going to have a few days to recover and then come in on a green week and be like, hey, you don't have to do a lot. You're just doing this one assessment. We're doing far less percentage in time as far as conditioning is concerned, but we're going to do this assessment today. And so we could do shooting. I have all sorts of assessments, and that's going to be another conversation. But this is a place where we put in training benchmarks, whether it's shooting, swimming, legs, vertical leap out of the water. You could do bottles. How long can you hold up a 2.5 pound bottle or a 20 pound ball or an 8 pound ball? We could like do time frame for those things and plug in assessments. But I think it's a good idea to plug them in on green weeks or yellow weeks. On the red week, if you're going heavy and you're trying to get them to focus on doing a higher volume, the assessment, we just want to make sure that we get like an accurate assessment where they're rested, and we get a really good effort where they could cognitively focus on doing it the best of their ability. And also assessments take time. So that's another reason why you can plug those in on a green week, is because just the time frame that it takes to do assessments sometimes can be taxing, and there's a lot of downtime when you're having students like record other students, or just you're doing 10 200s or 10 100s, and you're doing them on the 2 minutes, or 2.5 minutes. So you're doing like, you have a far greater amount of rest than you would normally have if you're trying to get a lot of volume in. Here on the training schedule phase of this sheet, or the row that says training schedule. So here we have Monday through Thursday. Okay, so you can see like every Wednesday within each week. Okay, if this was the week, the column is the week. Okay, every week I have swim plugged in. My swim percentages should become increasingly more difficult. The percentages that I'm going to reflect further down on the sheet will reflect overall, or kind of like what you'd want in your practice. But like, this is going to be a swim and conditioning day, and you would want red weeks to be harder, green weeks to be lighter. So maybe you're doing more drills on green weeks, and I could literally program in like, oh, okay, this is going to be, we're going to go 2,500, 3,500, and it's only 1 hour. So you're like, whatever. So you start at like 2,000 and go up to 3,000 or 3,500. And you try to like go from a green week at 2,000 or 2,100 and go up to, 34, 3,500 in your red weeks. As far as all these symbols and terms that I put into these boxes represent what I would want to focus on that week. This is totally like something that's up for discussion, but you're like, okay, day 1, Monday, we're already past this date right here, but counterattack offense. Okay, we're going to work on counterattack offense. Tuesday, we want to work on front court offense versus high press. So defense is going to be running a high press, and we want to talk about how we're going to break that down on front court offense. We're talking about 21s, 45s. So you're going to do 21 post angle drives and 45 ball side drives, and try to work on different techniques and tactics that are going to break that down. Thursday, I want to work on a high press, defense, and pressure passing. So we're just going to work on offensively, thinking about teaching them to do step outs and work on pressure passing and releases. And we're going to train the kids specifically to execute a good high press defense. So that would be like week 1. Okay. So this is, our week 1 actually is on a Wednesday. And that was, I went camping back in June, and we started our session on a Wednesday, and everything is set onto Wednesdays now. So really wish at this point I had changed that, but it is what it is. So this should, even though it says week 1 Monday, like I'll have to change those days on there, and it'll be like Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday. It's dumb. I shouldn't have it like that, or I'll change this up in some way. Okay, so I broke this down into chalk talk and dry land. That's kind of like your time out of the water. So time out of the water, not talking about within your 1.5 hours that you currently have in practice in the water. Your chalk talk, say in your first week, you don't need to do a ton of chalk talk. We really want to work on conditioning and general principles and general preparation. So we're going to do a higher volume in the beginning phase here, in the general preparation phase. We're going to have a little bit less chalk talk and a lot more. But maybe like if you need it, you can use that time to increase the chalk talk, where our chalk talk should increase as we go along or as we get closer to competition. If we're in the middle of tactical preparation or competition or championship taper, then what we'd really want to be doing is we'd really want to be spending a lot more time in front of the board. So every day, row 18 here, warm up. Okay, so every day I kind of put 10%. So in a 90-minute practice, you have like 9 minutes of warm up. Eight would just be like 7.5 minutes, whatever. So I did percentages because our time frames might change, and if you go up to 2 hours in the water, then this is just giving you an idea, like percentage-wise, what you might want to do. So, but I didn't do percentages with chalk talk and dry land. And I'll try to delineate that so you know that those minutes are separated from the 1.5 hours that are represented as in water. So I have swim and leg conditioning, and that goes up from like say 15% in the first week. Okay, that would be 20% would be 18 minutes. Okay, so 18 minutes would be week 2. Okay, meaning 18 minutes per practice. Now, obviously, that Wednesday you have 1 straight hour of training in water conditioning, but this is just kind of for general practice planning. 15%, 20%, 25%. So we're going up to 25% by week 3 of your in-water conditioning. And some people do it different. They don't want to stare at the black line a lot, so they're going to mix all this stuff in together. They're going to be like, I'm going to put my swim and leg conditioning in with my individual skills, which I do that a lot as well. When I'm shooting from the hip, especially, I'm like, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and I kind of just watch the kids' faces and make an assessment of like what I want to do. But I think that, as far as percentage is concerned in your planning process, you could always change things on site, but I think it's a good idea to have an idea of like what phase you're in, what your goal is, and what you're trying to accomplish in that practice. So going down for a single practice, we have warm-up 10%, 15% in week 1, this is per practice or overall week. 15% is legs and conditioning. 20% is going to be individual skills, so your skates, your pops, reverse sculling, over your hips work, knockdown, crossover blocks, reach blocks, square blocks, doing all this stuff. 10% passing, 15% shooting. So you can see even in week 1 on a green phase, we have 25% is handling the ball just individually, like you're passing the ball, you're getting in front of the cage and doing some variation of shooting drill. 10% water polo tactics, so maybe we're talking in week 1 water polo tactics about counterattack offense. Okay, so I'm giving myself time to be able to work at least 9 or 10 minutes per practice to be able to do some sort of that could be in a shooting drill as well. So these two, that's 25% between the shooting drill, shooting warm up, and your water polo tactics. For my counterattack offense, that might be 25% might just be a counterattack drill with a shooting cage. So 25% of my practice goes into counterattack offense shooting. And then controlled scrimmage. We're not doing controlled scrimmage, but like that 3-on-3 that we're doing is a great one to end practice every day. I want to end every practice with that, like 15 minutes, kind of just rewarding them with that. And so total percentage from warm up to controlled scrimmage is 100%. So as you go along, you see all of these are equal to 100%. But if you were to work over towards, say, week 9, I'm going to have 27% of swim conditioning versus in the beginning I only had 15%. So 27% is closer to like a 25 minutes of swim conditioning, not even counting individual skills. But warm up, I put a smaller percentage for warm up here, 8%, so you're looking at like a 6-minute warm up or 5 to 6 minute warm up, and then I go into like a 25-minute swim conditioning set, and then I have a greater percent in this week because we're in competition. I have 25% is controlled scrimmage. So I have controlled scrimmage here as a greater percent. So you see some weeks where I was able to, obviously this is like totally like you could like manipulate these numbers however you want, and but just generally speaking, you can see that I have a greater percent of scrimmaging through this time frame because I know between tactical preparation and competition, I need to increase the amount of time that they're doing some sort of controlled scrimmage. And whether that's focused on my counterattack offense or my extra man, it is a controlled scrimmage. And I might spend 35 minutes in a controlled scrimmage where I'm doing a lot more ejections. I'm ejecting kids because that day maybe we're working on extra man for 2 passes. That's what we did during our shooting. That's what we talked about in warm-up. We focused on the extra man concepts throughout the entire practice. During my scrimmage, I do a controlled scrimmage where I'm focusing on a 4-2 pass. And I'm calling ejections every time you score. You get 2 ejections. I'm going to be calling ejections. Someone's going to get ejected on every counterattack, and I'm just focused on that thing. So, but so I wanted to share this with you. I didn't get very far on it, but it's already 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, and I spent a bunch of time on this. So I wanted to give this to you. I'm going to be sending this to you. This is going to be a work in progress. It took me a long time to get to this point, and it's not all buttoned up yet, but it's something that I do want to share with you, and so I did want to do this screencast because I didn't want to call like a 1-hour meeting, take out time from your day to be able to have this conversation. But yeah, so I hope that this is good for you, and in the future I could show you some of the assessment pages, or I could do another screencast on assessments and some of the assessments that we could start to plug into training benchmarks, especially during this COVID time. Also, the USA Water Polo COVID physical distancing portal that we have, like hundreds of videos available to us. We could literally hyperlink those into this page if you wanted to use cut and paste like this page, and then you're like, okay, week 2 we're doing this drill, this drill, and this drill. You could hyperlink those specific drills into week 2. Like, say you have 3 drills that you're going to be teaching, you're like, whether you're familiar with them or not, hyperlinking them into Monday, knowing you could put space underneath Monday and start adding what drills you're going to be putting into that in week 1 on Monday, week 2. So, or we could add extra columns. So hope this helps you guys. Hope you watch it, and let me know what you guys think. All right, thanks.